Good afternoon, everybody. Evening, whatever it is, where you is. Welcome to Midnight's Edge After Dark. I am Tom Counters. Joining me already is the Script Doctor. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be here.
We are glad to have you here. Also joining us up front is the 70s rock fan. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, sir. How are you?
I'm doing the best I can, even though I've been running around all day. There's been some interesting news to talk about, so we'll get into that.
Wasn't it a quiet day?
Yeah. Just when you think it's going to be quiet, just when you think it's safe to go back in the office. Yes.
The Flasher approaches.
And Tom said, sorry, I missed that. Can you do it again?
Yeah.
So actually, I'm not into hyperbole too much, but I think today could be looked back on as a fairly important day in times to come. But
it might be. I mean, there could be something to that, or at least in a sense of the last few days, for sure. I guess you could say a salvo of sorts has been sounded, at least across a certain part of the industry, that enough's enough. May not necessarily be anti-woke, but it's definitely anti...
well, it's pro more than anti. I think
I was going to say pro profit.
It's anti-profit loss.
Yeah.
Anti-profit loss. Thank you, Script Doctor. And that's why you're the Script
eyeballs
Doctor.
On screens, I think it is.
Absolutely.
It's probably what it is, yeah.
And before we get too deep into this show, I want to nominate... See, I have a few saints. One of them being, of course, St. George Carlin, and St. George Lucas. You know, we have them. I'm going to add to that now. I want to nominate Lady Nichelle Nichols and Saint Mike Judge. I think it's about time. He deserves to be a living saint. Because if you guys haven't had a chance to watch the new Beavis and Butthead, thank God for Mike Judge. Because if it wasn't for him, I'd probably had a coronary by now. Like, it's things like this that keep me going. So do yourself a favor if you haven't got a chance to see it yet, and check out the new Beavis and Butthead episodes. So unless somebody has any kind of reason why those two should not be brought into sainthood, I don't see why not.
Do we really want to make Mike Judge a saint, though? Shouldn't
yes, he's a saint.
Putting him into maybe a Greek god of some kind, or
well,
he's definitely something. I mean, what's kind of funny is that Paramount Plus has been putting out some pretty good content over the last year, and it's a shame that they're not huge fans of this channel or the main channel, because we're doing quite well, like promoting some of their better stuff, like The Offer, Beavis and Butthead, even the South Park streaming wars things that they're doing is quite funny.
Yeah, I take it you saw the second half of the Streaming Wars.
Yeah, I did. I saw the conclusion, or I guess the conclusion of it, if you will. I was surprised that Randy did not use the type of pressure created from a bong to solve the problem of the water, because I thought it was going in that direction. But no, the what they did at the end was also quite silly.
Oh, I just love I love that they needed the old Randy back after he reverted.
I am a scientist.
Yeah. You know what I used to be? I used to be a scientist.
Yeah, I think Paramount's turned a corner in the last while.
A little bit.
It's Paramount that's producing Yellowstone and 1883 as well, isn't it?
Yeah, they've got a deal with Taylor Sheridan, who is the kind of like the miracle worker right now. He's the hot item for the moment. I hope he doesn't overextend himself too much, because the quality will suffer as a result. That's
There's even been a little bit of an uptick in Trek, and I know people like Doomcock, and I understand how he feels about how no matter what they do, it'll never be enough. But I did tell people that, Strange New Worlds and Picard Season 3 were going to be taking a bit of a different swing, and then Robert Meyer Burnett has been seemingly confirming a lot of that, from what I'd heard.
Strange New Worlds it's not a Kurtzman Trek, it's
exactly
Trek.
And that's what I told everybody. Yep.
It copies so many other better science fiction stories.
But it's still better than STD.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, that's not a good bar to measure yourself. You have to measure yourself
absolutely
by,
not.
PS9, Gen, and TOS. Voyager doesn't count because, unfortunately, the captain was not written coherently or consistently. She's all over the place.
Kathy in that
Yeah.
galaxy.
No, and that's why I can't argue or disagree with Doomcock the way he feels, or other people who feel that way, where they're like, I'm not going to watch it no matter what, you know. But no, I don't think this is fair at all, Dan, because I remember telling people this stuff, and I think Script can back me up when I said that Akiva Goldsman came in and swooped in and kind of made Strange New Worlds underneath Kurtzman's nose without him knowing it.
Which is funny because it was also right in front of his face at the same time.
At the same time. And we did hear that this, I can't remember his name, but who was coming in to take over Picard season 3 was one of the first things he asked is, why aren't the original cast involved?
Well, he's the showrunner for season 2.
He came in during season 2. That's the discrepancy people don't understand. And this is where Doomcock really jumps on it. He came in during season 2. He came in. It's like, technically, yes, but you guys got to remember, they shot season 2 and 3 back to back.
Yeah.
and Akiva was still overseeing season 2 when this guy came in. I can't remember his name now. I wish I could. But, and so then he was concentrating more on season 3 from what I had heard. So, and that's where the changes are coming in, it sounds like. And again, I'm not going to say the show's going to be that much better, but from what R&B is saying, it does kind of confirm, or at least support, I should say, not confirm, support what I've heard. And that was that there will be a bit of a change, and a lot of the shit from Picard season 1 and 2 is going to be kind of disregarded or moved on from.
Well, it's weird because they've replaced Data with 7 of 9 and Wesley Crusher with Raffi. Essentially at this point.
Kind of, yes. That's the only point that's kind of like, but I think they kind of know that, first of all, Will Wheaton is not a very popular person. They're kind of aware of that.
He was in season 2 of Picard.
He was, and the reaction was not good.
No.
You could replace Crusher with a table lamp and it would be better.
Yes. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm not going to hold my breath and say it's going to be great. I stand by what I said before, is it's going to be better than what we have gotten. But we've got some super chats. Let's see what you guys are saying before the rest of the crew files in here. Melissa D. Wildman says, in remembrance of Nichelle Nichols' trend setting, I am listening to the podcast on my earbuds. Well, that is amazing. And yeah, I think she is up for sainthood, in my opinion. Pat G says, the madman is going to do it by committing to improving Flash. He's going to fire Ezra and reshoot the film to damage to DC. Hire Dog the Bounty Hunter to drag him out of his pot compound and fire shithead in person. Oh, it's gonna get real, kids. And we're gonna discuss this here in a little bit, and I can't wait till some of the rest of the crew gets here, because it's gonna get spicy and interesting. And Pat G means avoid damage. Yeah, I kind of figured out what you meant, but yes, thank you for that, Pat. And then we got Darius, who sends us some popcorn. Pop. Thank you for that. We got Stephanie in the house. How you doing, Stephanie? The offer is good. I can't. If you haven't seen it, trust me, just do it.
It is fabulous.
It is hilarious. It is so good you can't. I don't know what you can't do because of it, but I'm sure you can't do a lot of things.
I can't even.
I can't. I think that's what she meant. Yeah.
I can't even.
Yeah. No, it's a great show. I wish there was another season of it. That's how great it is.
Well, we speculated on that, what they could do. I mean, they could do.
There's so much you can do, right?
Do Godfather 2.
Godfather 2. You could do Alan Rudd. You just follow Alan Ruddy doing The Longest Yard. But I really want to see the making of Megaforce. I think that would be brilliant.
Yeah, Script and I have talked a little bit about that movie.
I've got the In Search of Tomorrow documentary, the sci-fi.
I still ain't got mine. I don't know what the hell's up with that.
My posters, my stickers, everything.
I don't know what the hell. I even messaged the thing.
Shirt, the posters,
I
got none of it yet.
Yeah. But the bit on Megaforce and that really reminded me of just actually how good that film is if you look at it through a certain way.
It had potential. It's a lot of fun. It's tongue in cheek
comedy.
Yeah, Ernest is a better way to probably put it. That's for sure. And then Trenchman.
Mattel ended up creating a lot of the designs because of the toy to make them toys. So the designs of the bikes and the ships and the whatever. Yeah,
they look like just big toys, basically. Yeah. Trenchman says, Mike Judge, saint of the idiocracy space that did America and the universe as the king of the hill. Yes. I would just he hasn't skipped a beat. Beavis and Butthead haven't changed, and that's one thing that I saw an interview where he talked about it, and the crew that he's got around him, they had to understand that, right? He's like, that was one thing that MTV and other people always tried to do, was change Beavis and Butthead, right? Make them grow, make them smarter, make them dumber, what have you. And he's like, no, they got to stay at this level, right? They
barely read.
and if you go past that level, then that's it. And the simplicity of it is, in the storytelling, is Beavis and Butthead never change. They don't have growth, right? Like that's just it. They don't change. The world around them can change. Events around them can change, but they will never change. And that's what Mike Judge he hit that home constantly with people that he was working with on the show, is just that they are the same no matter what. And that's the beauty of it. He's there not just as an overseer, but being the characters themselves. I'm sure he can sit there and go, oh, Butthead would never say that. You know, like,
yeah. Well, he's in the recording studio, right? So if he gets on page, he's like, nope, Butthead's not saying that. Or Beavis isn't saying that. So
yeah, I mean, because he understands these characters and the simplicity of them and how they work, and it's brilliant. I mean, it's just fucking brilliant. And I can't wait to see if he does something with King of the Hill. And I mean, I liked King of the Hill. I never was a huge fan, but I'm almost interested now on seeing his take in the modern age more than anything.
Bobby would be such a disappointment, like far more so than normal. I did see a meme. I wish I could share it because I can't remember where on Twitter I saw it, but it was someone had done a hybrid of The Thing and King of the Hill called The Thing of the Hill, and it's got Hank with 2 propane like flamethrowers on his back.
I like the name alone.
This ain't right. The name alone is what that would make a great movie.
It would be a great one, yeah.
Let's see if I can find that.
I will say it was awesome. I thought for sure that Mr. Anderson would be dead. That's all I'm going to say.
He's out of jail.
He's still alive.
How is he still alive?
I don't know.
90s, yeah.
I can't find that.
He has a small cameo, I will say that. Mecha J says, saw the new Beavis and Butthead episode on YouTube for free. Mike Judge still got it. You know what's funnier is if you have Paramount Plus in the US, they have 2 episodes up, and the second episode was better than the first one. So I'm trying not to talk too much about it with everybody around because Script hasn't got it up where he's at yet. And of course, same thing for you, I'm sure, up there. Same situation. So yeah, so until everybody can see it all, yeah. But I literally started crying during one of the bits because it was so fucking funny. But anyway, we got in the house, that's right, the one, the only, Rod Thunderheart, who sends us a pair character punching the air, fist and bump written on his knuckles. Thank you so much for that, Rod Thunderheart. And he's also been a member for 6 months. Thank you, sir. We appreciate the support. And we got Dash Attack, who says, quality over quantity. The mouse is toast. Hail Tom and Script, and really nice to see 70s Rock Fan on tonight. I have a really good vibe right now. Yeah. And hopefully Valiant and a few others will be joining us soon, because Valiant has been doing some bang-up reporting on the sales thing today and all that kind of stuff. He did a great show earlier, from what I heard.
Speaking of Paramount, though, I showed you this earlier, Tom, but
yes, you
the
did.
4K Braveheart.
That's right.
Paramount, one of Paramount's greatest ever movies.
Thank you for showing that. And then we got Mr. Buttcrack Media, who sends us a pooper sticker. Thank you for that.
Of course he does.
And then, speak of the devil, he arrives. How is it going, Mr. Valiant?
I'm going to try to do this because I don't know how much of a voice I have left after that marathon. But yeah, I'm here. And yeah, we got a lot to talk about.
Awesome.
That was fun.
What a great show, sir.
So yeah, like, I mean, clearly if anybody wants a huge breakdown, you did a live stream a little bit ago, and they can check into all that. But for us, could you just briefly give us a highlight of some of Zaslav's best moments and concerning moments, even possibly, from today's call?
I've got one queued up here from the live show because I think it's best if you just hear the earnings call.
Oh, absolutely. I'd rather hear it from the horse's mouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I will give you a precursor. The thing is that Zaslav was very clear in his language that they are rebuilding. They are treating this as a rebuilding year. Think of it, your favorite NFL franchise or baseball or basketball, whatever. This is a rebuilding year for them. They know they have a ton of tremendous talent in their case, great IPs to work with. He's very humbled by the fact that he truly believes that Warner Brothers has some of the greatest IPs in the world. And he laments the fact that they have not been levered correctly over time, that they have not been utilized to their full potential. And that's a big issue for him. So it's obvious he is looking to really do something big going forward. There was a lot of stuff in there about, and Tom and script. This is a, cheers to the three of us that have talked about this for some time. Zaslav was incredibly praiseworthy of the traditional release model with theatrical exclusivity. They even brought up a slide early on in the presentation that showed this is what Hollywood studios used to do. Movie theaters, and then on to premium, rentals, premium cable, basic cable, television. And they were like, the problem is now Hollywood has done this. And they brought up a second slide that showed theaters, streaming. Like the other 8 things were gone. Like basically Hollywood has terminated all of the secondary and tertiary market revenues, just as we've been talking about. And that's at the point when I started laughing. I'm like, hey, are they watching us on YouTube? Because this is exactly what we've been talking about. And it was like a breath of fresh air watching this because it was so funny. They realized that model, this new model, is not working. And Zaslav even goes so far as to say that, there's still nothing better, and I'm paraphrasing, there's still nothing better than the buzz and the euphoria around a big theatrical release, which then in turn creates big buzz and euphoria around, if it's a good movie, down the line, onto Blu-ray sales, onto premium cable channels, Encore, Stars, HBO, Showtime, onto streaming services, PVOD, basic cable, broadcast. You have to still maintain that lineage. Basically, what he was saying was Hollywood cannot recreate that type of revenue structure with the current system that they've moved to.
Yeah, because they basically eliminated all their other third-party windows of sale and distribution. Now, here's the other part, too, which is actually really fascinating. It's something that you touched on as well, Valiant. He's saying that he's talking about all the means of distribution which require one essential aspect, which is the desire to rewatch what you saw in theaters. And that comes down to what he said later on, which is about quality, not quantity. And that is the key point to it. The only way a studio survives is if people rewatch the stuff that they put out in addition to the new stuff that they're putting out. If you oversaturate your client base or your customer base with so much stuff and none of it is worth watching again, you've just wasted all that money because you're not able to make any more money off of it after the initial viewing. That is what Disney has been doing
exactly
the entire time.
And the people in my chat today were like, they're like, oh, dude, he just threw the hammer at Disney. And I'm like, pretty much. I mean, he didn't name anybody by name, but I mean, it was very clear what he was saying that, and this was, Script and I were having a private conversation in DMs before the show started. And this is what I meant when I said that Zaslav just don't give an F. I mean, he's the only guy in Hollywood don't give an F. And by that, I mean, he doesn't care what other studios are doing. He realizes that what they're doing isn't working. I'm not going to follow the pack because what the pack is doing is wrong. We're going to do what's right for Warner Brothers Discovery and our huge, valuable slate of IPs. I want to make money. Script was right in the sense that Zaslav does give an F because he actually does care about the IPs. So, I mean, this is a very different animal. But what I have here queued up, this is right when the earnings report broke from the presentation and they go into the Q&A session. And I think I queued it up right about the right spot. But the bottom line is that the way these Q&As work, it usually comes in with the big investment bankers first. The first call we get is from Deutsche Bank, which is a huge investment firm, international investment firm. And I had said early in the show, because people were asking about, is going to talk about DCEU and Batgirl. And I said, it's unlikely he's going to address that specificity in the formal presentation because all of that is generally scripted. It is run through lawyers and compliance. But when you get to the Q&A, it's more freeform. And I said that there's probably going to be a question that comes up at some point during the Q&A that somebody out there is going to bring up this news in recent days, because it was no accident that this news broke when it did. So let me hit the play button and y'all can
right.
Our progress with you along the way. With that, I'd like to turn it over to the operator, and David, JB, and I will be happy to take your questions.
Here we go. Q&A. Please smash the
Thank
like
you,
button.
sir.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. We
Ladies
still
and
have over
gentlemen, we will
1,500
now
in
begin
chat.
the question and answer session.
Please hit the like
If
button.
you would
Appreciate
like to ask a
so
question-
much. Let me turn that down while you'll hit the like button here too. Most of the people that are going to be coming here, by the way, are going to be big investment banks. It's going to be Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Barclays. It's going to be big investment, BlackRock or Vanguard, whoever's going to get in line. But usually the big investment firms come in first.
Deutsche Bank. Please
Deutsche
go
Bank,
ahead.
another huge one.
Hi, good afternoon. Let's ask two if I could. I guess first, David, there's a lot of reporting in the press about film dates being delayed and, of course, the canceling of Batgirl.
First question, y'all.
That film in particular needed. Can you just talk about the reason for the decision to cancel Batgirl? And was it an issue? And what's happening more broadly, Warner Brothers film business, changes you might be making,
so.
and particularly the direction.
$90 million price tag.
Universe.
Right?
Then just had one for JB on the FAST product. Is the intent there to offer the FAST service in Western markets like the U.S.?
Aren't you glad you stuck around this long for this? I told you at the beginning when we started an hour ago, this was coming during Q&A.
Where you would have a low penetration of paid services and therefore,
He
way
said
of building
penetration.
where you might not otherwise achieve it. Thank you.
Penetrate. Here we go.
Great. Thanks, Brian.
This is David Zaslav.
Well, let me start with the fact that the Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group has fantastic IP and a great history, as you know, with
True.
turning 100. And
Very
between
true.
DC, the animation group, together with the entire Warner library, our ambition is to bring Warner back and to produce great, high-quality films. And as we look at
Bring
the opportunities
Warner
that we
back.
have broadly, DC is one of the top of the list for us. You look at Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. These are brands that are known everywhere in the world.
Notice he said Batman
The
first.
ability to
He didn't
drive
say
those
Batgirl.
all over the world
say
with a great
Flash.
story is a big opportunity for us. We have done a reset. We've restructured the business where we're going to
Reset.
focus, where there will be a team with a 10-year plan focusing just on DC.
There it is. That's what I heard.
Very similar to the structure that Alan Horn and Bob Iger put together very
For the
effectively
MCU.
with Kevin Feige at Disney. We think
And
that
he
we
just
could
hired
build
Alan Horn
a
at Warner
long-term,
Brothers.
much stronger, sustainable growth business out of DC. And as part of that, we're going to focus on quality. We're not going to release any film before it's ready. We're not going to release a film to make a quarter. We're not going to release a film the focus is going to be how do we make each of these films in general as good as possible. But DC is something that we think we could make better, and we're focused on it now.
Wow. Pause it a second,
We
would
have
you?
some great DC films coming up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Zaz is taking the fucking
I'm telling
horse
you,
by the reins, and he's like, nah, fuckers, I'm in charge now. Daddy's in the house.
he came out. I mean, I made a joke at some point because I couldn't hold it in anymore. And I don't think I said this on the stream, but I mean, I know we're a little looser here, but he walked in there, unzipped it, and just slapped it on the table. I mean, just blam. Just no. I mean, it was hilarious to listen to this.
I'm
And-
surprised he didn't say before, read my dentures. we're going to do quality over quantity.
All right, let me let
Wow.
him finish this answer.
Well, him
here.
saying we're not releasing a movie before it's ready
Exactly.
is
Now-
a huge deal.
The
Yeah, and
next
I'm
thing
so-
that he could do, which would actually be a real big slight against Disney and Marvel, is say, yeah, Shazam is Captain Marvel again,
Yeah.
because he came first.
I don't
Hey,
know if
Nick.
he's going to go that far yet. And I'm sorry, I had
Hey,
like a
guys.
door open, the dogs went crazy. That's
Oh, no,
why I
you're
had to
fine,
mute.
man.
So did he get to the part where he mentioned the films coming out?
Right
No,
there,
that's
right about
just
now.
where we paused.
Okay, here we go. This is key.
Black Adam, Shazam, and Flash. And
Flash.
we're working on all of those. We're very excited about them.
He said
We've seen
Flash.
We think they're terrific. And we
He
think
just
we can
spilled
make
the
them
beans
even
on what they're
better.
doing.
And that's what Mike and Pam and the team are doing and focusing on that.
So they're going to save it.
Strategically, we've looked hard at the direct to streaming business. We've seen, luckily, by having access now to all the data, how direct to streaming movies perform. And our conclusion is that expensive direct to streaming movies, in terms of how people are consuming them on the platform, how often people go there or buy it or buy a service for it, and how it gets nourished over time, is no comparison to what happens when you launch a film. And so this idea of expensive films going direct to streaming,
I swear they listen to my
an
channel.
economic case for it. We can't find an economic value for it. And so we're making a strategic shift. As part of that,
oh God, I love this guy.
We've been out in the town talking about our commitment to the theatrical exhibition and the theatrical window. A number of movies will be launched with shorter windows. Some might.
It doesn't mean it's still the Ezra Miller Flash, chat.
Us having the biggest.
That's not what that means. It means they're going to try to save it because they have so much money in it, but that doesn't mean it's going to still have Ezra as the Flash.
I think there's another reason to that too, but
hold on,
we'll get to that.
HBO Max, we find they have substantially more value, and we have an ecosystem where we can have the premier motion picture business. That's
exactly what I've been saying for 2 years too, Valiant.
Why most people got in this business, to be on the big screen when the lights went out, and that is the magic. And the economic model.
Boy, who does he sound like?
And the other
that was made the joke. Like he listened to my channel.
Script knows what I'm talking about. He sounds like Bob Evans in The Offer.
Yeah. He does a little bit, doesn't he? Yes.
And we're not.
People don't want this Batgirl shit.
Release a movie.
Listen, guys,
we're not going to put a movie out unless we believe in it.
We're not gonna put a movie out unless we believe in it.
Where we think we want to pivot and we want to elevate and we want to focus.
Pivot.
And Brian, on Fast, 2 quick comments. Number one.
So there you go. I mean, that was the meat and potatoes of the whole DCEU answer. Which like we're gonna take our time. We're not putting anything out that we don't have faith in. Quality over quantity. We're not putting out shit.
Yeah. And the latest I've heard on Ezra, we're gonna get into that too here in just a few minutes. But yeah, like that says a lot right there.
I mean, that's about as, and I want everybody to appreciate something that are used to, like how we talk here on YouTube or what you see sometimes in the main media. When it comes to earnings calls like this, as somebody who's been in this business for almost 20 years, I'm telling you right now, the way Zaslav delivered that answer, that's very strong language for an earnings call. That was very.
He used words like pivot, reset.
The reset thing was big, and there was stuff in there earlier in the call where they talked about how this direct to streaming thing doesn't work, and it was very obvious he was taking a hot dump on Jason Kilar in Project Popcorn.
That's right, Valiant. You made an explicit comment doing that. I remember you pointing it out in the stream when he said it. He absolutely went back and said what we were doing there was wrong.
Yeah, he said what was going on before didn't work. It was wrong. I mean, he threw them under the bus.
Hollywood never says that.
No,
that's what's shocking. Do it in action by canceling everything that the old regime had when they take over. Like that's how they.
But he also meant by that,
right?
Yeah, that's right. No, he didn't just mean the quality of the content and the model was wrong. He meant the financial guidance that was being given based on that was wrong too.
Yep.
You were given the wrong financial guidance. We're correcting that now.
Well, here's the other part too that they could do if they lean into their physical media windows again, is that for all of their new releases, if they included, say, a 5% discount code with any type of Blu-ray or 4K release of a Warner Brothers film, and that code can go to your subscription for HBO Max, you then now offset the cost and reliability of your streaming service, which means that if you buy, say, 5 new releases from HBO, and you get basically essentially like 25% off of HBO Max for a month from those coupon codes, you still make bank because the overhead costs for physical media is a lot lower than expected. Plus, you still get a better RPI from HBO Max, even with a discount of up to 25% for someone that's buying the physical media that will eventually premiere on HBO Max probably the following month after they use that subscription or that discount code. So you end up getting to triple dip your product and also give a savings benefit to your customer with the services provided in addition. It's like, oh, you're going to buy this on DVD that's already going to be on HBO Max, say in 2 or 3 months' time, well, we're going to thank you by giving you a little discount off of HBO Max that's included with this purchase of that DVD or Blu-ray or 4K. That would bolster their streaming service to no end, because they can do that consistently as long as the streaming service exists, as long as they still put out their 4K DVDs and HD movies and all that other stuff. You could even get to the point where you could buy enough of the physical copies where you end up getting a month free of HBO Max on the discount. But even the turnaround profits on those physical medias will pay for that subscription and then some from that individual user itself. Like there's a lot of avenues here if they want to go back to that old model that they can do to sort of bridge the gap between streaming, physical, and theater.
Absolutely. And I again want to just formally say hello to Nick, because he kind of came in right in the video portion. How you doing, Nick?
No, I'm good, man. It seems like I came in at a very essential moment. Listening to that whole thing, it almost didn't feel real, because I'm so used to, especially in the last like 5, 6,
of being
7
gaslit,
years, of gaslit or never conceding to doing anything wrong. It's always the fans' fault, and how they just want to continue to double down on the business model that they want to survive, rather than the one that they need to survive. It feels almost like I was listening to foreign language. I mean, it was refreshing though, so that was definitely nice. And hey, that all sounds great on paper, and in theory, let's just see execution play out. And who knows, maybe this could be the beginning of a studio finally realizing, hey, this shit that we're doing, we need to stop, and we need to actually make movies that people want to see. Otherwise, we're going to go under, and otherwise you're all out of job. So we'll see. I mean, that sounded great, and that's the first time something didn't sound like it was trying to dance around it. That sounded very definitive, which is what I liked. It was like I needed to hear that.
And they're going.
Well, that's good. That's what I want. I don't want the corporate talk where it all sounds like it's dancing around and trying to trying to toe the line. This felt like, okay, this is what needs to be done. I know what it is. It's definitive planning, and that's what I like. So, great to be here.
I want to be clear for everybody, as you said, everybody in the chat, and hail chat, yes, but for everybody in the chat to understand. And the reason why we can get this kind of language right now is twofold. One is that David Zaslav is the type that just really doesn't beat around the bush, number one. Number two,
no bush beating there.
Nothing. And number two, Zaslav is also in a very unique position right now because of this flip out from AT&T. This reverse Morris Trust spinning out Warner Media, the whole shebang, and merging in with Zaslav. And John Stankey basically handing David Zaslav the keys to, what AT&T still owns 70% of in Warner Brothers.
AT&T, it's still AT&T's company, and they're just saying, you make this work. Like, it's basically the parent giving the kid the Porsche and saying, don't break, it's already broken, fix it up, and you can kind of quote unquote keep it.
Yep.
And but it's still under my name and my insurance. And the other part too with Zaslav, later on he goes on to talk about more cost effective productions with HBO Max, because one of the things that he mentioned is that you can't spend millions of dollars on.
Yeah, we're not going to spend $200 million to make an HBO Max film.
Exactly, and that's
and
that's what works great with a property like
Disney,
because they have tons of properties that can be serialized for very low cost, which means that you can create your tentpole DC films, and then you can have your peacemakers, so to speak, running on in between those releases to keep generating interest towards the streaming service aspect of things and build that brand into something strong. So I mean, I love that idea, because it's granted, it's a little bit bad news for, like, say the Dune Bene Gesserit sister series, because
I think that's going to get the axe. Yeah,
and I also suspect that the Penguin series might also get the axe as well.
It depends on what the audience scores are.
I was just going to say, I was hearing that they were going to use that to gauge whether or not they're going to do Batman 2, honestly, script.
I know, but the price tag that's currently associated with it, even with Colin Farrell's price tag, because it has gone up a little bit this past year and a half. I'm wondering if that's going to be the, it might be the beta tester. It might be the, we're just going to cut our losses.
You could be right. And if they cut that show, then that means they might not even do the Batman 2.
I don't know what they're going to do at this point, but I mean, the end result, what I was trying to get at with the comment was that Zaslav is in a much more potent position to do what he wants to do than is, by comparison, a Bob Chapek. And there's a difference there that I want everybody to understand. From that end, is that this new board for WBD, which is the ticker symbol for the stock, Warner Brothers Discovery. A lot of this board was appointed and advised. I mean, these are all Zaslav people. He has total command over the ship right now. Ain't nobody telling him different. Yes, there's a board, but those board members right now are all his people. And they're going to listen and do to everything he says. I mean, there's no argument. Disney's in a little bit different position, right? They weren't spun off. Disney didn't spin off a major wing and throw it somewhere else. So we're going to get the Disney quarterly report next Wednesday. I'll do a live stream for that. But I'm very interested in that. But I don't expect the level of just, dick punching that we got today. I don't expect that next week. I do expect a lot of good information. But what we got today from Zaslav, from a standpoint of understanding the position he's in, he's on an earnings call. The language that we got was extremely direct in that regard, and it was a ton of fun.
He sounds like a man who's a confident CEO who's in control of his company, whereas Chapek is still in charge of a company that's driven by factions.
Yes.
That have very, very differing viewpoints.
It's going to take him a while to weed those out if he can. Yeah.
I think he's gonna need a little bit more muscle to back him up too, because we all saw the latest caving with Hulu and the ad revenue and backing down to that. So he's gonna need a little.
That
extra.
really wasn't. I mean, I see where you're going with that, Nick, but that really wasn't. If you're talking about the political advertisements, there's some nuances to that I think a lot of people missed, and that is that what happened with the Hulu thing was they initially objected to that ad from the DSCC because of certain things.
Yes.
They said, okay, we'll put the ad on now, but you have to understand the DSCC altered what Disney was objecting to.
The DFCC?
Yes, the Democrat National, or the Democrat
DNCC.
Senate, DNC, the Democrat National Senatorial Campaign Committee, DSCC. They have too many alphabet soups.
Sounds like a bunch of Bond
Clearly.
A lot of initials there. Got to watch out for those.
The point is, they did actually change the commercial, and the idea was they wanted to unify and streamline the approval process for advertising so that Hulu would match up to ESPN and everything else. You also have to remember that 30% roughly of Hulu is still owned by Comcast, who has a put on Disney for early 2024, meaning they can force them at that point to buy out their remaining interest in Hulu with a company value at $27.5 billion. And if Disney goes in there right now and starts unilaterally kicking out political campaign commercials, which is a massive source of revenue in midterm and presidential election years, then potentially Comcast could come back and said that you were legitimately trying to devalue this company by ignoring all of these ad buys so that you could get this company for a cheaper price when we could force the put. So they can't do that. They have to allow political campaign ads. They had a specific amount of objection with one particular ad. It was resolved. They changed the ad, and now it's on Hulu.
Did you say that Comcast's stake in Hulu is worth $27.5 billion? Sorry, did I miss that? I picked that up wrong.
The totality of Hulu. Okay, so what they did was, and I misspoke on this in a previous video I did. The totality of like the minimum value for Hulu that Comcast can do a forced sale at that point is going to be $27.5 billion, of which they have about 35% of. So Disney obviously is in the position to where they want that value to be as close to the minimum threshold that they have to pay to buy Comcast out, right? Whereas Comcast, on the other side, NBC Universal Comcast, wants that value to be much higher so that when they can force Disney to buy their shares out in about 18 or 16 months, that they can force that sale to be at a much higher value. So Disney is still a fiduciary in terms of Hulu in that capacity because they don't own it outright yet.
No, they own part of it with Universal, and I can't remember the other.
Everybody else is gone. Fox is gone. Warner sold their 9.5% stake years ago. Yeah, Warner's out.
Well, and I was thinking Fox was the other one, but yeah, that's right. They would have bought them.
They bought Fox's interest with part of that $71 billion. Yeah,
I was going to say I think Stars was the other one, but Stars I think got bought out by Universal. Anyway, sorry, go ahead. 70s.
No, I was just going to say I've seen some speculation that Comcast might want to get
Lionsgate.
out of
Is it
Hulu,
Lionsgate?
and then perhaps look at doing something with Paramount. But I don't know how realistic that is. But
none of them could afford it at this point. Yeah.
Okay.
Paramount had their earnings this morning. So
yeah, and they've been kind of been a little bit overshadowed because of the Warner.
Well, and Paramount was kind of ahead of this curve already, right? Because instead of them, even though they had kind of boasted about doing some of this stuff, and there was a bit of tug and pull with Tom Cruise on the whole idea of putting Top Gun on streaming, I remember, they were going to do like Coming to America too and stuff like that. That went to Amazon, so they got their money that way. The Beverly Hills Cop deal was made with Netflix, so they're getting their money that way, right? They're not really putting their big movies on Paramount Plus right away. They're selling them off to other places. Now, they may not necessarily be going to theaters all the time, like Beverly Hills Cop 4 and Coming to America, but they're still doing these big $100 million movies, right? So they're getting the money from those means. And that's where I see some of these companies, like Sony has also been doing that a little bit too. But to move on from all that, Valiant, what other highlights was there of the call before we get into the Ezra Miller business?
I mean, those were what I mentioned before and what we played on the video. I think those were the things that really stuck out.
The main point?
The main points. I mean, what they're trying to go for right now is a lot of cost synergy. And they announced months ago that what they're seeking is about $3 billion in savings by streamlining how this new entity is going to operate. On the call today, they indicated they've already realized about $1 billion of that. And the next $2 billion is going to come over the next couple of years. And part of that, and this is why there's been speculation in the last few days, you can find this on Deadline, Variety, THR, it's everywhere, that there's a lot of speculation about a big old bunch of layoffs coming at HBO Max. I think that's going to happen probably in the next few weeks. You're going to start seeing it because what was happening at HBO was that you had, or at Warner, I should say, you had HBO and you had HBO Max. You had two separate divisions, two almost completely separate studios making separate amounts of content for each entity. And Zazov's like, why the frick are we doing this? This is stupid. And so he's combining these. And basically what HBO is going to have at the end of this is, and this is kind of pretty much already, it's not, he didn't say this today, but we've seen it in the trades the last couple of days. It's pretty much a done deal. You're going to have one side of Warner Brothers Discovery where it's going to be scripted content and unscripted or non-scripted content. Reality TV, Discovery, all that whole 14-channel, conglomerate network series. And then you're going to have scripted content, which is DC, HBO, Warner, everything is going to be. So you're going to have two different divisions, and each of those division heads report directly to David Zaslav. And so there's not going to be any more delineation between HBO and HBO Max. It's like, look, we're gonna unify this and streamline what is going to happen, what's going to go where. And that's where the cost cutting is coming in, because there's too much duplicity right now in terms of executive management and all this. There's way too much bloat.
Oh yeah, it's totally like American Psycho, the vice president's office. Everybody there is the vice president, and they don't know what they do.
Exactly.
And
it's office space. It's office space. Yeah. Exactly. Every time I screw up, I got 8 different bosses coming by to tell me something I did wrong. It's like
I get 8 different memos saying I get 8 memos of the exact
How are your
same
TPS
thing.
reports, Peter?
Yeah.
So
that's a brilliant strategy. He's consolidating a whole bunch of departments and basically looking for the overlap and saying, okay, we don't need the overlap. We just have all the responsibilities go to this one department. And he's probably going to retain a couple of selections. He's probably going to have a film wing and an animation wing, and each one of those is probably, and the animation wing's probably going to have television to streaming, but it's going to also have the film part as well, and they're all supposed to be communicating together, I think, is the end goal.
But that'll be under the scripted content wing.
Yes, and that'd be under the scripted content wing. So you're going to see an interesting, like, 2-tier family tree sort of stuff, but it's only going to have a handful of branches compared to what it is now, which is a freaking forest connected by one route.
Just don't mess up my mountain monsters. That's all I want. I want my mountain monsters on Travel Channel.
Yeah, if you can save $3 billion a quarter, that virtually wipes out their loss from the last quarter. They're running about a $3.4 billion loss per quarter at the moment.
Well, if they consolidate all those departments, and do the layoffs after a couple of buyouts, they will. That's at least $500 million a year alone in that.
Yeah. And you got to remember, a lot of what's going on right now in the financials and on the balance sheets is a lot of these losses are showing up from this merger issue, and much of that, when you look at the actual EBITDA, which isn't bad. It's up from last year for sure, but there's a lot of depreciation and amortization. And for those watching, I guess I should explain, EBITDA is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. So that is like the real raw net profit of a company, EBITDA, because of course, interest is what you're paying on the debt service that they have to pay for a company like that. So if they have, $2-3 billion in debt, they're paying an interest service on that. Taxes are taxes. I don't think I need to explain that. Depreciation and amortization are what I commonly refer to in the finance world as kind of phantom costs. These are write-downs that they get to take on, typically in a company like Warner Brothers, real property, meaning they have a bunch of studios, warehouses, sound stages, they have buildings, office space, and all this kind of stuff. They get to write down the costs of that, a certain percentage every year, or on an internal revenue service depreciation scale. So they're not real out-of-pocket that year kind of things, but they get to write them down. So that's why EBITDA is an important feature of any of these kind of earnings reports to see, okay, that's kind of what they're really making. That's what most financial analysts really want to look at when these quarterly earnings reports come out.
All right, so let's grab some super chats here, and we'll get into the other news we've got. First, we had some super chats from the other day that we missed accidentally. Sorry about that. First off, we had Jack White, who asked, "Did you see Doomcock's video he put out today?" And he said they should bring in Snyder to help the action scenes because he does that stuff well. I did not see the video. Sorry about that. But I can't argue with him doing action scenes. All right, the rest, it's up for debate. He needs a good writer though. Then Smith Self for $4.99 said, "The contract giveth, the fine print taketh away." Indeed. Dark Saber Force has been a member for 4 months. Said, "I feel sorry for Brendan Fraser. He deserves a comeback more than anybody in Hollywood." Yeah, there's an argument to be made for that.
Yeah, he's got work. I mean, he's still doing Doom Patrol, I think. Yeah, that hasn't been canceled. But that's a voiceover job. That's not actual like on set stuff as much as he would like it to be.
There may have been a point where there was somebody who did something to his career. I'm not going to argue that, but he also made a lot of bad choices as far as movies too. Go back and look. A lot of his movies, he didn't have very many hits. Like between like Bedazzled,
the Mummy series, he kind of
the Monkey Bone movie failed horribly.
That was before Mummy,
Yeah, there was some other movies he did in between there and stuff that just like outside of the Mummy, he did not really have any big hits. So I think part of that's the other reason for it. I'm not going to say that
he's
there
also
wasn't something
he's
to
the
it,
type of working actor, which is as long as he's acting, he'll do almost anything. I mean, that's why. But like he's actually a rather very charming, cool guy, but he's gone through a lot of weird stuff over the last like 8 years, at least.
Yeah, it sounds like
the industry and some of the abuse that's occurred to him, and it's just terrible. So, I mean, this would have been because again, Batgirl was moved from potential streaming release to a theatrical release. This would have been something for him to do that would have got his name back in the conversation again. Now it's his name's back in the conversation, but not in the most ideal circumstances. So
George of the Jungle.
Again, this is all
need I go on?
Well, this is all stuff prior to the Mummy series, right? So
no, some of it, but not all of it. I think some of it was in between there and around that area because he got his first big break. People forget is Encino Man, of course. Not everybody, but yeah. And then after that, he did a lot of these movies, and it wasn't until he did the Mummy where he finally had another real hit on his hands, and then Yeah, he just kind of floundered from there. It seemed
He's done
like
some
but,
dramatic roles in.
yeah,
smaller
he's done some
independent
stuff.
Yeah,
Which
he
is
was
pretty- he's
in a
been-
movie with Ricky Lake, which
Yeah.
didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Mrs. Winterbourne, I think it was, or something.
Yes, that sounds familiar. But then we had Billy D, who's been a member for 16 months, and we also had Warwolf, who's been a member for 14 months. Thank you for that. So we were up to date on those we missed. Sorry about that. I apologize. Once in a while that does happen, but thank you, Six, for going through all the trouble of making sure we did not miss those. And let me double check and make sure I didn't miss any recent
Just
super chats.
while you're doing that,
Yeah.
last year Fraser
Yeah.
was in No Sudden Move on HBO Max with it was a Steven Soderbergh movie, so it's a really good drama if anybody's never seen it, with Benicio del Toro and Don Cheadle and others, and Fraser's really good in it. Yeah.
All right, there you go. So let's get into these super chats here. We've got Trenchman who says, "How is Anderson alive? Simple. Propane." Well, that's technically what kept
It's the butane, isn't it?
yeah, he's butane man, but I don't know what the hell there is in there, but that ain't right. Not quite.
That's
Close
pretty
enough. It's Dale and the dog and all that shit. Oh man. All right. So let's see here. What else we got? We've got Mega Wing Zero who says Darkseid Zaslav, he kills projects that fail him. Indeed. He does. And then 70s Rock Fan, who's also on the panel, says best content, not most content. Yes. Yes, indeed. Lonnie Holcomb says, ride that horse, Valiant. Indeed, do. We got 52 movies a year. He says, I'm truly happy for DC fans. You've been patient. Let Script Doctor write Superman. I'd be all for that.
Oh, please.
Nice.
You would love
Oh
that.
yes.
You would all love that.
Please.
Yeah.
And you haven't missed it yet, Thaliato. We're about to get into that, so stay tuned. Professor Gray says, Culture, how can they jump the gap of dying cable? Are you still there, Culture?
He's making fun of Valiant there, huh?
Yeah. And you still there, Valiant? You had another clip you said too, right?
He's probably prepping that. Give him a minute.
He did say be right back. He had another clip, so yeah, I think
I'm
he's
not
getting
sure
that.
that
We'll come back to
linear-
that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure linear cable will ever truly die, but
At least not for another generation.
yeah.
And the reason I say that is because, like, my dad's generation and probably the generation after that are just never going to let it go. My dad refuses to get into streaming. My mom's the same way. I mean, eventually they'll probably have to in some form, but
It's
no,
going to
like-
go to an on-demand network model. across
Yeah,
streaming services. That's
it'll
what
just-
it is.
conglomerate in some way over time. I think Script's right. They'll just, since already your cable company is the provider of your internet as it is in most cases,
Yep.
it's just a matter of time before the two are one and the same.
Oh,
Um,
I predict there'll be a
yeah.
two-mode system. There'll be the on-demand mode, which you can do, and then for the older generation, there'll be a live mode where it's all scheduled.
There's
programming,
already
but-
those in their script. Do you
Yeah,
realize
but it's
that? Yeah.
directly to the streaming service.
Yeah.
Because they started doing that 10 years ago on normal cable. They had like you could on demand almost any show that you wanted.
Oh yeah, you're pretty much right. Like it's pretty much the reverse of that now because you'd have
Yep.
the on-demand section and then you'd have, which was just
then
sometimes
you
you can
go
catch
to,
older shows and
quote
stuff
unquote
like that.
the
yeah.
live section, which is really just a straight streaming of shows back to
Yeah.
back with commercial ads and stuff. And you could probably have the pause function and rewind function,
Yeah.
but it feels more like live TV, and you can channel quote unquote channel surf as opposed to a streaming thing where you're just browsing.
Right. For even
and-
Paramount has that. They have like 5 or 6 different live streaming channels on Paramount Plus. They have CBS Live, which is whatever the network's running at the time.
With also the news programs on that. Yeah.
Exactly. It's all by local stuff or whatever. I think it's the Madison or whatever it's out of. And then they have like 4 or 5 specialty channels. And one of them's like one that just shows Star Trek all day long. Right. Like they have like a couple of them like that. So it's kind of cool. For those who just don't know what to watch and you just want to throw something on, or somebody who's older, that's a
That's a safe,
kind of the
reliable,
same-
familiar situation.
yeah, exactly. Thank you. That's exactly what I was getting at. I was killing the bot.
Bot killer.
You should mod me, Tom. I'll do it too.
Oh, you're not modded, dude?
No, not
Say
well, I am
something.
on
Oh, there you
Midnight's
are.
Edge. I'm on Midnight's Edge.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. I still haven't managed you. Now you are. So there you go.
Thank you. I can help you out.
There you go.
Even if I'm not on the stream.
Cable will have its generation.
Mrs. Flu
gap,
has a wrench,
but,
so you should too. And then we got, does Mr. Flu have a wrench? Is Toxie around?
I
I
didn't see
think he
talks
was here.
earlier.
I saw him.
He should have one, if not.
You
So-
should, yes. You know, you
I know I saw CC in there. He's always pretty reliable for the show to show up.
Oh, yes.
But, yeah, so we're good to go. We got, and I think Goddess is in there too. We got Spally in there too, so we should be.
Oh,
there
there's
he
Tox.
is. Tox, how do you not
Hey.
have a wrench? We'll take care of that real quick. All right, so yeah, and I'm just reminded also of Dudley Do Right.
Oh yeah.
So culture is not here. Of course, he's making fun of Valiant. But Valiant, are you back yet? No, I don't think he's back yet.
He's not.
Well, I will save that in the thing here, and we will get back to that one. Dearest sent us a super sticker. I don't know what it is. Let me see.
I'm not sure there was a sticker. Might just have been
Was it just
might have just been the cash.
No, it says super sticker.
Oh, there is a
Is
super
that maybe
sticker.
the pair pounding?
I
I
can't. I don't have it up here. Yeah.
Sometimes there can be no sticker. It can just be the money.
I sometimes just make up what it is too.
It was a symbol of $1.99 in cash.
Hey, Tom.
What's up?
Did we get the super chat of Termination?
I might not have. What does it say?
I can read Termination 2011 S for $2 says Gore said DC Super Pets movie has 2 moms in it.
Oh yeah, I think we got that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did
I'm
not.
pretty sure.
I saw the movie. I did not catch the 2 moms.
Yeah, somebody else said that too, and yeah, I remember getting that super chat. I think it was yesterday or the day before or whatever. Yeah.
I will say, if you're a pet lover and understand the value of like a best friend dog and all that stuff, you'll actually quite enjoy Super Pets. It's.
I heard
not
it
a
wasn't
woke-
bad.
And thanks, Six. Let me know it's a thumbs up from Dearest. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie. There is 2 things at the beginning, action-wise, that is out of Superman's character, just because of like the city damage. But after that, it's really a quite fun, good character-driven, plot-driven family film. Great for kids and parents. So if you can, check it out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I didn't notice the 2 moms thing. Again, it wasn't something I was looking for, and if I didn't notice it, it means that they didn't put a lot into
I
actually.
think it was by in a blink. It was over in a blink. Yeah.
Yeah, I blinked and I missed it. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
There's
All
a
right.
difference between that and having things pushed hard at you for large periods of the show.
Hard.
You said period. Mega Deuce sends in $3. Doesn't say anything. Just sent in
That's a
$3.
great
Thank you
name.
for that. Valiant, are you
Deuce.
back yet? He's not back yet.
He's having a mega deuce of his own, I think.
And I was going to ask him this too, so we'll just save that. So while we're waiting for Valiant here, I got to preface this next story by telling you that it is these are all accusations. There's some terminology that is going to be kind of problematic for some people, and if you're somebody who can't handle that shit, then I guess you're just going to have to flip off. But yeah, these get into some pretty dicey accusations here, so we're going to start this story now. Pending Valiant coming back and giving us any more updates on the Warner Brothers side of things. The Insider dropped this today, which is funny because if you saw our video, we had said that we had heard there was going to be some more stuff coming out about Ezra. And lo and behold, like just a matter of a day later, here it comes. This is, again, I'm going to preface this by saying these are all accusations. There's a lot of anonymous people who are giving accusations here, so take it all with a grain of salt. This is a very long article. So we're going to get into it piece by piece probably here. Some of it I'm going to skip through because it's stuff that we've already discussed. I'm not going to get too much into like the stuff about Takata because that's something that's been covered to death and is questionable. But it is brought up quite often in here, so it may come up from time to time. But outside of that situation, the rest of it is filled with only like one or so other thing, or the 2 other stories that we know of. And they get into that a little bit as well. But there's some more here. So keep that in mind as we get going. And Daryl Brewer, thank you so much for being a member for 13 months at the maximum effort puppy level. We appreciate that. And Brett Cohen sent us a $10 super sticker. Thank you. Let's see here. It is a Shiba dog with a heart. Thank you so much, Brett. We appreciate the support here at the channel. And then, yeah, unless Valiant is back, we're going to get into this. It doesn't sound like he's back yet. So,
Just do
and
it,
then
Tom. Do it.
Storm King asked, Zaslav said, hey, awesome ME panel. What film should we use to reset DC? I might use the question and explore the universe in that way.
That's a
You know
good
what
one.
they should?
I
They
don't
could,
would
but
love to have the question, to have freaking a nice old like regular detective tale. You don't gotta spend a lot of money.
Conspiracy
You can
detective
even make
tale.
it, and that's a story that can actually be worthy of the dark, tonality that they love to do and have a sexual fetish for Batman. They can actually do it for a character that makes sense, and they could talk to Dennis Cohen and Bill Sienkiewicz, like, all right, what do we need to do here? And for the question, there's a great run out there of comics that exists, and to be fair though, I think the question would benefit more from a TV show if we're going to be more fair here. So, I mean, I'd
I
like
would
to
say
see
TV
it.
would be how you do the reset. Actually, you start there with TV, smaller characters that can build up the universe, and then have that lead into your tentpole characters.
I still want a proper Green Arrow, like the actual like old school traditional liberal, stick it to the man liberal. That's what I want. The
Against
actual
the
Green
government
Arrow.
liberal.
Yeah, against the
when they used to
government
be.
liberal.
A 19th century liberal is what you mean. So Nick, did you say a sexual fetish for Bat Tom?
No, I said for Batman because
that would be weird.
Well, Warner has this fetish where they saw
It's not weird, it's the leather.
Batman. Let's make everything dark like
It's the
Batman. So it's become like
The
a
suit.
fetish now. They feel like
In the
it's
car.
a one
Chicks
size
dig the
fits
car.
all.
I'm old fashioned.
With my dick.
I would like DC to just do a really nice Superman movie where Superman's a hero and he's very.
It's
positive
funny you
and he
say that,
saves lots of people.
70. That's my answer. My answer is going to be whether it's with, if you get Henry Cavill back, do Superman Rises and do it as kind of a soft reboot. Do it as a positive story.
Superman.
If it's not Henry Cavill, then just reboot. Because that origin story for Henry Cavill is kind of a mess. But that would be my answer, Storm King. But since we've got Valiant back here, I see we're going to stop just before jumping into this. I know we're like prick teases here right now. Before we get into the Ezra stuff, because we had a couple questions for that Valiant can probably answer.
Okay.
And then he also said he had some more stuff for us. Professor Gray wanted to know how can they jump the gap of dying cable? We did kind of answer this a little bit, but if you want to get a quick response.
One of the things that Zaslav talked about on the earnings call was that both types of delivery mechanisms, both the old and the new, are
country and Western.
Country and Western, Blues Brothers, that they're both still viable commodities. And by that, I mean traditional linear delivery, broadcast, basic cable kind of stuff, and the new system of delivery, DTC, direct to consumer or streaming services. They're both viable systems and they need to work together cohesively. And they didn't go into a whole bunch of specificity, but there were questions that came up during the Q&A as to that regard. So I look, cable is not dying per se. There has been a shift in how it's being delivered to consumers. But at the end of the day, even if if 20 years from now, there is no basic cable delivery, like nobody's using cable boxes or that kind of delivery system anymore, the system itself is just going to be shunted over to DTC. It's still going to be an advertising-based system. You're still going to have ads. You're still going to have this. You're still going to have some kind of subscription fee. Either you're going to be paying everybody independently like we are now with streaming to some regard, or you're going to have some type of conglomerate that's going to amalgamate everything together. That's yet to be seen.
That's pretty much what we were saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was brought up in the call today. So good.
And then the other question was there anything said about DC Comics? I thought I heard somebody tell me something, but I guess not. So
no, the comics
wasn't there something to do with, they were shutting down one part of it, the online bit and merging it with something else. Did I hear that right?
If there was something on the earnings call to that effect, I don't remember.
I don't think this was on the earnings call. Someone told me about this before that.
Yeah, it may be the case. That's not something to. I'll be honest with everybody. That's not something that is frankly worthy of being addressed on this earnings call, because the comic book division for this new conglomerate is a virtually it's invisible.
It's
compared.
downstream from the rest of the
It's
content.
nothing.
Yeah,
That's
it's
basically what it is.
so
Right.
It's such small potatoes that
From what I understood, like, because they have that DC app right now that has like all the comics on it.
I mean,
They
DC
used to have their
Comics might not
streaming
even
shit too.
represent 1%
Yeah, they have
of the revenues.
DC Universe
Like,
or DC Universe.
Yeah,
streaming.
like I heard that it might be getting shut down and then it's getting mixed with something else, and I can't remember exactly what it was.
Well,
I heard.
it's
I don't
still
have the
rolled
exacts
over
in
to
front of me.
HBO Max because when it launched, people
Yeah.
bought the 3-year package, right? And that
Mhm.
was it launched about 3 years ago, and then HBO Max kind of took over in year
That
2.
could be exactly what it is. Yeah.
And then on top of that, Nick knows a little bit about this, but they removed the derivative use of comics from the DC Comics website because DC stands for Detective Comics. And if you
Yes.
aren't familiar, in the mid-'70s,
Right.
Detective Comics rebranded themselves as DC Comics because
Mhm.
they're morons. And they've been
Detective
morons for the last
Comics.
50 years. And if they ended up dropping the
Phil Holds
secondary
barred.
comics part from their website and eventually from the rest of their line, it basically just shows that they're going back to paying attention to what they're doing. I mean, to me, it seems like they're paying attention to what they're doing. They're looking at their name is like, why is this called DC Comics Comics? That's stupid.
Yeah.
That is
that's what
so
it is.
that is so downstream on the grand
Mm.
scheme of operating revenues and operating income for Zaslav and Warner right now.
Mhm.
That's I hate to say this, and I don't mean this to piss anybody off. That is just such small potatoes to even
Yep.
It's the
waste
fact of
30
it's the
seconds
fact,
on
yeah.
an earnings call.
Well, you're correct, Valiant.
Yeah.
If I could just bounce off your statement really
Go.
quickly, you're correct, and trust me, as someone who's read many of the DC Comics books for quite a few years, you are right, especially even more so now after the direction they went in with their equivalent of all new, all different Marvel. They really made a tank. Like they have 800 Batman books, and not even half of them move 50K, which is not even a number you should be like proud of selling. There was a time when books sold 100K or more, and now like even Batman nowadays, their flagship character can't even move 6 digits anymore. And
I'll put it this way.
they've done that to themselves.
Nick, Eric July just produced more income in 2
Oh, I know.
days than DC Comics did in 3 months.
Oh, I know. It's great.
On
It's
a
great to
pre-order
see.
too. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Done.
So what do you got for us here, Valiant?
Okay, so earlier I was talking about the whole, when they were talking about the traditional theatrical window stuff, and how like David Zaslav's like, this was stupid, and so this is this segment. This is the segment where they go into, this is what we used to do. This is what's going on now, and this doesn't work. So do y'all want to see this?
Sure.
All right.
All
Let's
right.
go.
Further development and dig in on what consumers are saying about the two services. We have a lot of work to do, but these first few months have only strengthened our belief in the significant opportunity ahead of us. And I'm excited to share with you some initial thoughts on our strategy and roadmap. First, a bit of context.
Here
For
we go.
decades, our industry has embraced
Tom, look at this
changing
chart.
technology and consumer demand by evolving a very
I made that chart.
approach to exploiting content.
I've literally done
I
videos.
got charts.
Every single thing after theatrical is window 1, 2, 3, 4 of redistribution of content.
Actually, I want that chart for future use.
Yeah. No, listen to what he says.
Changing technology and consumer demand by evolving a very successful windowing approach to exploiting content.
I can't. I've literally done videos
However,
with slides just
in
like
recent
this.
years, a strategy has emerged to suggest a video business would be better off collapsing all windows into streaming.
Oh my God! Did these people
overpaying
watch
for
my
and
channel?
Investing in content and offering it all at the same time for a low price. We don't believe in this strategy.
That's
While
fucking
we
stupid,
intend
you
for
just
streaming to
said.
be a critical part of our company and a key driver of our growth as consumers
We don't believe in
continue
this
to
I
strategy.
change
love
their
how he
viewing
said
habits
that.
from linear to non-linear.
I'm in
It's
disbelief
only
right
one
now.
part of our
He's like,
diversified
that
approach.
is fucking stupid.
Focus of our streaming strategy is consumer choice. We believe there are multiple global consumer segments in streaming. just like there have been for decades in traditional television. Some
Why does this guy sound like he's got like a Jersey or New York accent? Is that where he's from?
Conscious and prefer to
I don't
pay
know.
less
That's
with
Zaslav,
limited
yeah, he's from
advertising.
the.
No, that's not
And a
Zaslav.
sizable third group who will not pay a subscription fee.
Like
and
this
only
guy's
want to
got like, he's
enjoy
like just
ad-supported
telling me like it
entertainment.
is right now.
Warner Brothers Discovery's unmatched depth.
This is the guy that is in charge of gaming and streaming at WB.
I was going to
now.
say, did
Yeah.
they mention the game
Oh,
publishing?
that's
Is there a
what's his
big
name?
Publisher of games. Warner?
That's I'll go
Big
back.
publisher.
It's right here. It's JB Perrette.
Right.
That's
I
the
just
guy.
had it here. Yep. Yeah. Okay.
'Cause
Yeah.
gaming must be pretty big for them. They are a big publisher.
He's
So that
just
was
like,
that was the bulk of it, where he's like, "This is what used to happen. This is what everybody's doing now. We don't believe in this." I mean, it was like,
he's like, I'm gonna cut through the bullshit here.
I mean, this was just it was a dick slap. It was funny. I mean, that's why I couldn't help myself as this was going on live. I'm sitting there laughing on camera at this. I'm like, could not believe this.
Well, now we know why Zaslav was so pissy.
Yeah, that
And
now
I've
we
been
know
saying this for years, which
why
is why
Jason
they need to
Killar's
hire me.
gone. Rob
Yeah,
Everett's
and
gone.
Killar was like gonna leave, and then he's like, whatever. And then because they probably talked him into sticking around, but like I'm sure they told him, you fucked everything up, dude.
Well, that's what this whole presentation, that's what this whole segment was. It was like, Killar was stupid and we fired him. That's why. I mean, that's what this was. Unbelievable.
Anyway, continue. Sorry. This is too good.
Air linear to free to view streaming.
Yeah, and that ad,
Now,
that's why the ad-based
Focusing
tiers
on
are
our
so
ad-free and
critical
ad-light
for these
SVOD
guys.
offering.
And that's why Disney is
Great
racing
news
to get
is the
theirs out. We're going
combination
to
of
find out about
HBO
that
Max
next
and
week.
Discovery Plus could not come at a better time, as both are enjoying strong momentum. HBO Max has emerged as the most acclaimed streaming service among consumers, and Discovery Plus remains one of the top-rated apps and the dominant leader in real-life entertainment. They are also two very unique.
What have I been saying
complementary
for the
streaming
past year about Discovery?
Check this out.
distinct
Wait,
in their
wait,
content
gender.
appeal, ranging from premium scripted series like
Male
Succession
skew and
much-anticipated
female
House of the Dragon,
skew.
to leading unscripted programming such as 90 Day
Yep.
Fiancé.
There'll be some complaints about that.
Oh, thank God we're getting
They
back
have
to
it
pink
broken
and
down by
pink and
gender,
blue
and that's
world.
just a social construct.
Oh my God, I don't
just
think
like how
I've
it
ever
says
felt
homo
like
fandoms. That's
You know
a
what?
nice touch.
I just had this rush of euphoria. I'm like, thank God we're back into pink and blue world again.
Yeah.
I know which bathroom
Distinct in
to
their
fucking
content
use.
appeal,
Listen,
ranging from premium scripted series like Succession and the much anticipated House of the Dragon, to leading unscripted programming such as 90 Day Fiancé and
scripted
Fixer
and
Upper.
unscripted.
Or
No.
actually
They
passive.
have it broken down by
in terms of
gender, and that's
how
just a social
subscribers engage
construct.
with the content.
I can't. I'm kidding.
Some of it being more appointment viewing, driving subscriber acquisition. Other
You're not
content
wrong
being more
about it.
comfort viewing, driving subscriber retention, with people watching hours on end. These are two critical and powerful components of a strong and sustainable subscription business. Couple this with our world-class collection of globally recognized brands.
Oh,
Look at what's
not in the
first and
franchise.
foremost there.
characters. It
Batman.
is truly an
Yeah, no lightning bolt either, right?
Yeah,
Yep,
exactly.
no lightning. Exactly. Batman,
Exactly.
Wonder Woman, Superman, and then Shark Week. Because yes, Shark Week fucking rules.
And that's why when people are asking in the chat, like, "Oh, are they going to kill this character, kill this actor or this actor?" I'm like, no. This is why. Don't count out people like Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill. Look
No.
at what's on the chart. It's just that they're hitting the reset button doesn't mean ditching these actors.
And that's what I keep hearing back. Like I've said, and I'm sorry for beating this dead horse, but that's what I kept hearing and keep hearing is that we would love to get Henry Cavill back, but there's always that but.
Yeah,
and they're waiting to fulfill that but.
But Cavill
yeah.
has to want to come back.
There's that too, but I mean it's more so a challenge with
His price tag and schedule.
price
And then
tag
on
and
top of
schedule.
that,
Yeah.
Gal Gadot, she still looks good, but in Hollywood standards, she's getting older. So she's only maybe got 2 more Wonder Woman films left in her before they said, "Oh, we need someone younger," because that's
Well,
how
this
they
next
treat
one's got to
women.
be good, or that franchise is done anyway. Script for a while. Like,
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
if they do a third one and it
Unprecedented
bombs, yeah.
In an already crowded market, Consumers know these brands and they trust them to deliver quality. The quality of
They
our
know we got
content
good
engine
shit.
speaks for itself, as evidenced by the 193 Emmy nominations this year, more than any other media company. From drama to comedy, documentaries to factual, lifestyle.
While they're kind of
reality.
running through the genres, just want to say again, thank you
Local
everybody for being
series
here.
from
And I know it's
around
all right. We'll cut it there. But I just wanted to give you an idea. This was the tone of the call. I mean, of the earnings call. This was, and I knew this. We weren't going to get this 3 months ago when they did their quote unquote their first WBD earnings call, because as I said in the beginning of the live stream, that earnings call was just a couple of 2 or 3 weeks, if memory serves, after the merger had completed. So that was not the fireworks. This one today, the first full quarter under Zaslav's command, this is where the heat was going to come. And we got it. I mean, in my mind, as somebody who spent 20 years as a stockbroker, as a financial advisor, this was the heat. And it
Right.
didn't disappoint. So,
Yeah.
and I laughed my butt off, like, oh my God. And I mean, I'm saying this tongue in cheek, obviously, that like they must be watching my channel, because we've talked about this. We've talked about it here on Midnight's Edge. I've talked about it on my channel. Scripps talked about this, all this stuff about what these guys and girls need to do and what is working and what isn't working. And everything eventually is going to come full circle to the traditional model of what is driven by advertising. All of that was borne out in this earnings call today. I mean, this was rah-rah for us. This is what we've been saying, all of us here on this panel. This is what we've been talking about now for months, if not years, with what's going on. And we're finally seeing it now vocalized at somebody at a very high level in one of the top 2 or 3 Hollywood production outfits and one of the biggest companies in the Fortune 500. I mean, this was a good day, y'all. This is a really good day.
It was an excellent day. We have hope again, I think, for some common sense to return to our beloved entertainment business. And
who would have thought Warner Bros. Would be the first one for all the hell they have gone through for the last 20, 30 years, if you want to get more technical with it. And now they're the first one to say, hey, we got to course correct. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad they're doing it. It's refreshing, very refreshing here. It's just because of them being the king of bad decisions, who would have thought they would have been the one to lead by example, said, we got to make a change. So it's nice to see. And hopefully this will be the start of more studios to do that, because
we were kind of just more fortunate that that a company that took over Warner Brothers was kind of like, we have no fucking clue what we're doing. We need somebody to come in and do this, and they picked the right guy. But before we get into this Ezra Miller thing, I know I'm such a prick tease. 70s has got to step out.
Alas, yes. Sorry, I got a dash, but thanks, Tom. Appreciate being on as always. Thanks to my fellow panelists. Valiant, brilliant show today. That stream was
Thank you, sir.
Loved it. Thank you.
Means a lot.
Thanks to everybody in the chat. I'll see you all again soon. Have a good night.
Take care, buddy.
Hey, dude.
Bye.
Take care.
Yeah, and I want to remind everybody, look, for the last several years out there, for those of you lamenting the bad DCEU that we've gotten in cinema, I get it. I hear you. Understand. It's not terribly different from politics. It takes a really bad set of years to fix things, because this was the catalyst. If AT&T had not bought Warner Brothers, we wouldn't be starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel that we might be seeing today. We had to get to that low point, right? We had to hit rock bottom before we could find a way to rebuild. And that's what I hope is going on. And I think that this call today is at least seemingly some sense of hope in that regard.
Well,
You know,
what's very
so-
funny is that in 2009-ish, Warner Brothers was kind of at the top of their game among all the other studios because
Yep.
they had their first superhero film that crossed the $1 billion threshold in The
Yep.
Dark Knight,
Yep.
and things were going kind of good. And then they get the Man of Steel
Toby Emmerich.
and Toby Emmerich's choices, and then Jeff
Sorry.
Johns, and then Hamada, and all
Splat.
the big properties that should have been netting them a whole lot of money to keep them in good would have prevented them from ever having the need to sell out to AT&T.
Yeah. Well,
But-
that's why I ask people, name one hit that they had other than the Dark Knight trilogy for the past 20 years.
Harry
You
Potter.
can't.
Script.
And, yeah, that's about it.
Script made an excellent point on my live stream earlier in the chat, and that was that Warner Brothers missed every opportunity that they set up. 1978, 1989, 2005. They missed every damn opportunity that they created themselves. They missed every opportunity to blow this into an MCU style juggernaut. And he's
Yeah.
totally right.
Well, speaking of juggernauts, it seems that Ezra Miller has become one. So let's get into this. We've been prick teasing for long enough. Insider.
Did my
Put this
PDF
up.
email work?
Yes,
earlier?
I
Okay,
think
good.
it's in there twice, but well.
All right.
We're gonna read parts of it anyway because a lot of it's about the Takada situation and some other things. But Ezra Miller's unraveling. Friends concerned as the Flash actor travels the U.S. in body armor and faces claims of running a cult in Iceland. So yeah, this comes to us from Insider, and the timing of this, as I said before, is impeccable considering we had stated in our recent video that we heard that there was going to be another bomb dropping soon. So they're kind of preparing for it.
Yeah. And what did I say? If they released this movie 5 months ago.
You were right, but at this point, I think here's the thing: is they may be committed to the Flash. He didn't say shit about being committed to Ezra Miller. I know a lot of people are going to run with that right now, but I still have heard that just because they're committed to the film does not mean that they're not above reshooting this movie all over again. That's kind of another thing that kind of was supported by what Zaslav had said today.
That was my contention, was that people were like, well, he said the Flash, right? I'm like, but they didn't say what Flash. And Script brought up a point earlier about, well, they had already kind of committed to and started scripting or shooting a sequel to that.
They haven't shot a sequel. They're in the development process of the
That's
Flash
what it
2.
was. Okay.
And I mean, if I was in Zaslav's position, I would say, you know what? Do it. We've already tested the waters with Batgirl, and there's almost no fallout, and there's really no controversy behind Batgirl to have warranted a fallout. So if we really have to, we could do the same thing to the Flash, take the stuff that we've already started paid for the development deal of the Flash that we can't write off to AT&T, and work on basically a new origin film with a new actor, and basically just, you know, take this franchise into a new direction. You know, use that to test the waters to the new direction of the franchise after the performances of Aquaman, Blue Beetle, Shazam, and Black Adam.
Yeah.
And they could do that if they really wanted to. Will they? We won't find out for sure until a couple of weeks pass.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into this story here. As I said, it starts off with a lot of the Takada stuff, so I'm going to jump past that. Because I don't know. I suppose we should probably read it. I'm just going to read it. Fuck it. It was a May morning in Los Angeles, and Sarah Jumping Eagle was desperate to get her 18-year-old daughter away from Ezra Miller. In the past 5 months, Jumping Eagle said Miller had left bruises on her daughter Takada's Iron Eye's arms, cheeks, restricted access to her phone, and verbally abused her. Takada's parents had welcomed Miller into their lives when Takada was just 12 years old. Miller had taken a liking to the preteen, flying her to London for the premiere of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, in which they starred and encouraged, and they're going to do the pronoun thing through this whole thing, aren't they? Encouraging Takada's musical aspirations, but the Miller and that Takada's parents once knew was growing more unpredictable and volatile by the day. When Jumping Eagle learned that Miller and Takada were in LA, she and her husband, Chase Iron Eyes, jumped on a plane to save their daughter. That's a little, whatever. You let her go in the first fucking place. They begged Takada to stay away from Miller, who responded by calling an Uber and demanding Takada get in. In a text message to Insider, Takada said she asked Miller to call the Uber. When Jumping Eagle reached into the back of the car to talk to her daughter, Miller slammed the door on Jumping Eagle's arm so hard she had to be treated at urgent care clinic, according to Jumping Eagle and a medical report viewed by Insider. Ezra Miller, stop assaulting me, Jumping Eagle screamed. The Uber sped off with Takata inside. Jumping Eagle said she didn't know if she would ever see her daughter again. I have no way to find them, she remembers thinking. She said the encounter motivated her and her husband to sound the alarm about Miller, who they say has a pattern of targeting and grooming vulnerable young people. Our primary concern is with the safety of our daughter, Jumping Eagle said. We want other people to be warned. Well, the problem is you let it get to that point. That's hard to take you seriously, but there's more here, unfortunately. For years, Miller has been hailed as a hero of New Hollywood. The actor first caught the attention of critics in 2011's We Need to Talk About Kevin and 2012's Perk of Being a Wallflower. When Miller came out as queer that year, telling the Daily Beast, I'm open to love wherever it can be found. Fans found their icon. What fans those were, we don't know. With her dark wavy locks and ethereal bone structure, that's one way of putting it, I guess. Other people would just say he looks like a drug addict. Miller was fearless in the world of cookie cutter celebrities. They walked the red carpet in a pinstripe skirt suit with a rhinestone bustier and eschewed city life for their Vermont farm, where they raised goats and sang to the caterpillars. What the fuck? By the time they appeared in 2016 blockbusters Fantastic Beasts and BBS, making them the first out actor to appear in a major superhero. Well, I don't know about that. Playing the Flash, they seem poised for the next level stardom. But in the past 2 years, Miller, 29, has gone from one of Hollywood's most promising actors to one of its biggest liabilities. In April 2020, Miller was filmed choking a fan in Iceland. This spring, they were arrested twice in Hawaii, first on charges of disorderly conduct and harassment, and then on allegations of second-degree assault. In June, a German woman told Variety that Miller hurled insults at her and refused to leave her apartment earlier that year. You're lucky it was just insults, lady, and not a fucking chair. That month, Rolling Stone published an article about how Miller was hosting a mother and her 3 children at the actor's Vermont home. A source told Rolling Stone that the home was littered with guns and that one of the children, a 1-year-old, put a bullet in her mouth. And then this kind of brings us more closer to where we are as far as the timeline. In June, Takata's parents obtained a temporary protection order demanding Miller stay away from her child. In tribal court documents, the parents said the actor had been grooming Takata, I always do it wrong, sorry, for 6 years and was physically and emotionally abusive. Takata told Insider that these allegations were a disgusting, irresponsible smear campaign against Miller and that Miller, in multiple cases, has done the right thing and stood in protection of the others.
You say a home littered with guns? I mean,
yeah.
Sorry. I'm going to put that away now.
Well, do you have any 1-year-olds around?
No, all my kids know how to load and field strip these weapons. So.
And they did have pictures of like a big like fucking either, I can't remember if it was a shotgun or a deer rifle or something like that up against like some fucking stuffed animals. A basic
and shit, normal, everybody has them hunting rifle kind of thing.
Well, yeah, they're all over the place. It looks, sounds like, but whatever. What is all over the place? Would I trust
any of those weapons with Ezra Miller?
No. And not only that, here's the thing: is you have weapons around your home and a bunch of people that are there that it's not you, it's your house, so that means you're liable. So there's all kinds of shit we can get into that. But again, I see that this is kind of a, all right, there's supposedly an investigation being done on that. I don't know if they get into that anymore in this, but we'll find out. Let's see here. Where was I? A week after Takata's parents obtained their protection order, a Massachusetts mother of a 12-year-old also was granted a temporary harassment protection order against Miller, who said she showed an inappropriate interest in her child. Insider has spoken with 14 people who had recent interactions with Miller, and here's where the new stuff comes in which the actor exhibited frightening emotional outbursts, carried firearms, or left them feeling unsafe. Some people said Miller sought out impressionable young women and non-binary people whom they could isolate from their families and control. In some cases, Miller had sexual relations with these people. In 2020, during a roughly 2-month stint in Iceland, where Miller walked the streets barefoot, rumored spread that the movie star was running a cult out of an Airbnb. So here we go, kids. If you had cult on your bingo card, you just won. And I know Andre's like, yep, I did. Again, these are still allegations. There's questionability in some of these cases, but there seems to be a hell of a lot of smoke. That's all I'm going to say. Moving on. Over the past 6 months, the actor has been driving around the U.S. carrying at least one gun and wearing a bulletproof vest, paranoid about being followed by the FBI and the Ku Klux Klan. Why would he be worried about being followed by the FBI? Takada said the vest was fashionably safety measure in response to actual attacks and received death threats. When did he get attacked?
Never.
I think we would have heard about that.
I think it means the police attacking him.
Yeah. In January, Miller posted a video about, and this is the other thing we talked about before, threatening to kill Ku Klux Klan members. He's just going nuts in that video.
His attacks were as real as Jussie Smollett's.
They happened the same night, in fact. Several people close to Miller say they're worried about the actor's mental state and are concerned Miller has lost touch with reality, whether because the pressures of fame have broken them or because no one is willing to check their behavior. Now, right there goes with what I was saying before. Sounds like a lot of his support, and if he did have any professional support, have pretty much left him. Many of the people who spoke with Insider asked to remain anonymous, fearing retaliation from the star. That's the same fucking thing we heard before. The problem with that is under most cases, I would just take that as, you're just talking out your ass and you just want to, tell a story. But at the same time, when it comes to this guy, it makes me wonder if they're not telling the fucking truth. So, I think Ezra has been enabled because their fame, their wealth, their earnings potential, their whiteness, and their beauty. A longtime family friend of Miller's told Insider, it's really hard to intervene when someone has as many resources as Ezra, they added. When your famous people are less likely to say no to you, I think that those things can be really dangerous. Those close to Miller said executives at Warner Brothers, the studio behind the Fantastic Beasts franchise, and DC Extended Universe films, I don't know why they use that fucking term, in which the Flash character has appeared, as well as Miller's parents, seem to have done little to try to get help. Warner Brothers did not respond to requests for comment. I wonder why. Because Zaslav's like, what? And this is probably why we heard that other part. People in Ezra's life are really grieving the person they've lost. A longtime family friend said, because I don't think that person is coming back. Let's see. Miller grew up steeped in the arts. Their father, Robert Miller, is a book publisher and former vice president at Hyperion Books, now Hachette Books. And their mother, Marta Miller, is a modern dancer. Marta often brought Miller to the family's country house in Vermont, where she opened a dancers and artist residency. Performing came naturally to Miller, who first trained as an opera, blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares. Let's see here. Another longtime friend said Miller appeared to have a level of emotional intelligence uncommon for their age. That was when he was younger. They're really able to connect with people. As a young actor, Miller was picky about his roles. Even Miller's career took off after the actor seemed unsettled and alluded to struggling with their mental health. The cults of celebrity and the fanatics of celebrities, that's what governs the world now, he told Hollywood Reporter in 2018. So you're a politician or you're whoever, you're just a celebrity with a fan club like me, and we're probably mentally ill. I watch television or the news and I'm like, oh, it's my people. We're all mentally ill together. Cool. Okay. By the end of 2019, their behavior, once characterized as quirky, became more disturbing, observers said. On the set of Asking For It, a feminist thriller filmed in Oklahoma in fall of 2019, Miller often wore long robes, a cape, and a unicorn head despite scorching temperatures.
And a vagina. And on that break, we've got over 850
yes,
people
we
in
do.
the live chat right now. Please, folks, I'm going to ask you a big favor. I know you can do this. I think this stream can easily get to 500 likes here in the next 5 minutes. We've got 383 right now. Please smack the like button. This is a big help. Let's get
I challenge you to share this out.
Dark. Yeah, share this out as well. That share button is just as important, if not more, than the like button. Pound this out to your friends on social
You said
medias,
pound.
just like Ezra Miller pounds minors.
Ooh. And you're talking about people who work in a mine, I hope.
That number is skyrocketing.
It's
Already at
exactly
440.
like coal miners.
Yeah.
He loves coal miners because he has a
Yeah.
vagina.
Loves dirty men. Loves dirty men, yes. We're going to go with that. We're going to go with that because
That's what I said.
I don't need to have my channel shut down.
Well, you're gonna get your
Lord
500
Almighty.
because it's already.
Brett Cohen
456.
sent in $2 and said, learn your knots, people. Hang your maps correctly. Okay. I know what he's saying there, and I'm not going to say anymore. He told the truth. Yes. The generally, yes. And allegedly, thank you, 6. I should probably just leave that on the screen.
40 likes to go to 500. Y'all
Keep
are
them
awesome.
coming. Keep them coming.
Let's go. Do it. Do it. Do it.
All right, where were we here? On the set. Okay. The ensemble, Unicorn Head and Temperatures, the crew member said, the ensemble was not part of Miller's on-screen wardrobe either. Many people on the set commented on Miller's pungent body odor, and one production staffer told Insider that Miller appeared mentally scattered.
He smelled like weed and meth.
Yeah, I was going to say probably more of the meth.
And
It was kind of...
Astroglide.
Yeah, what's that other thing he's supposed to be doing? That other drug? I can't remember. It's like DDT or some shit. I don't remember what the fuck it's called.
Estrogen.
Yeah, that too. It was kind of startling, said the production staffer, adding that Miller seemed to be just kind of floating from place to place, room to room, literally off the ground. A few moments later, while filming TV miniseries The Stand and Floating, he said, I'm Peter Pan. No, he didn't. Miller incessantly screeched, spit, and interrupted the director by screaming during filming. Kevin Armstrong, an extra on the show, said a second person said Miller would yell erratically on the set to get a reaction. At one point, just before the camera started rolling, Armstrong said Miller screamed out an offensive joke. It was something to the effect of J-E-W, a black man and a gay man walk into a bar. And the bartender, I don't know why I just spelled out Jew. Bartender said hey, what are you doing here? You don't belong here, Armstrong recalled. That's not even a joke. Armstrong said that when he complained about Miller's behavior, the person in charge of the extras told him that Miller was method acting because of their character, Trash Can Man, who was mentally unstable. I don't remember Trash Can Man being racist, though. But a former associate of Miller's said that things got so bad that production called Miller's legal counsel and manager because people on the set were not feeling safe. It was disgusting and horribly unprofessional, Armstrong said of Miller's behavior. And remember, kids, Amber Heard was also on this set. What a volatile, volatile situation. Yeah, and I agree.
All right.
Matt Freer did a better job. Anyway, where was I? Scooby-Doo is canceled.
Let me say this while you're looking for this. There's no accident that this article came out today. Okay? This was on the same day as the earnings report.
Yes.
And what was the first question that we just showed you here on MEAD? What was the first question from Deutsche Bank in the Q&A about the
What are you
DCEU?
doing?
Yeah, what's going on with Batgirl and all this? And they mentioned the Flash. There's no accident. This is Business Insider. This is not some dipshit off the wall, nobody reads it website. This isn't Screen Rant. Okay? This is Business Insider. This is a major publication. This is Business Insider shows up on Yahoo Finance, on Morningstar. This is a publication that shows up on major financial websites. Okay?
Yeah.
This is not done by accident. So when people were looking at the report today and the Flash was brought up, we talked about this, and everybody's going, oh, that means Ezra's going to be in. I'm like, no. Yeah. Look at this article today in Business Insider. Business Insider has the same type of gravity as Forbes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
This is here for a reason. This is giving you a precursor. This is a harbinger of what is to come. This is telling you that, they're going to do Flash, but it probably ain't going to have Ezra in it.
Well, and here's another thing I want to remind people. This last bit I've been reading you guys is actually from a person who named themselves. I believe it's a production staffer. I'm looking for his first name, their first name, his or hers. Armstrong is what they keep saying here. I can't find where it initiated. But a lot of this has been coming from an individual who is not anonymous right now. So keep that in mind too. So this person was more than willing to put their name on the line for this situation, because they continued to say, after they said that the behavior was disgusting and horribly unprofessional, Armstrong said of Miller's behavior, adding that anyone else would have been escorted off the set immediately. So like the last few paragraphs I've been reading have been coming from this Armstrong person. In February of 2020, Miller traveled to London to film Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore, in which they play the character Credence Barebone. Nice name. When filming for the Harry Potter spinoff halted because of COVID-19, Miller headed to Iceland and started a cult. Miller's presence was poorly received by some Icelanders, who said the actor was aggressive and emitted a putrid stench. The actor, who rarely changed out of the same loosely fitted bohemian clothing, strolled the frigid streets barefoot, no less, revealing long pointy toenails that looked like an what looked like an infected gash on one foot.
So he was snorting coke off his toenails. That's great.
Three people said one person recalled seeing Miller walking around mumbling.
4 likes until 500, chat. You can do this.
Thank you, VR. Miller traveled everywhere with their personal assistant and spiritual advisor, Jasper Youngbear, who told locals that he cut off at least one of his own fingers during a ritual ceremony. Youngbear didn't respond to a request for comment. The actor used an art house movie theater, Bio Paradis, as a sort of clubhouse, with Miller occasionally burning sage to cleanse the premise of bad spirits, staffers told Insider. For most of their time in Iceland, Miller rented a sprawling modern Airbnb. They filled the home with a menagerie of Icelandic artists, expats, and spiritual confidants, whom they encountered to stay there, even though many had their own homes in the same town. I can't say the names, like Reykjavik, I think. Reykjavik,
yeah.
Yeah. One woman who visited the house for a day in March of 2020 recalls several mattresses spread out on the floor and compared the house to a commune. She was struck by how enamored guests seemed to be of Miller, hanging on his every word and seeming unfazed by Miller's mood swings. It felt like everyone was hypnotized, she said. Between Miller's makeshift commune and their monologues on spirituality and their emotional outbursts, rumors began circulating in Reykjavik that the star was running a cult.
Man,
Miller
sounds like something from InfoWars.
Right? Well, this is the Insider.
And now it's from the Insider. So when the Insider says it's totally normal story, just saying.
Well, this is not the kind of shit they usually cover.
I know, they don't. But
They're not people, they're hippies.
They're hippies, goddammit, hippies!
Oh my God. You got a commune.
Get the Miller.
Start the drum circle.
Shut the fuck up, Kenny.
You got hippies in your attic, man. I love that episode.
And I will say, just on the phone right now, WDW Pro says hello to everyone.
Well, hello, WDW. Send him the link if he's not busy.
He is busy right now. He is in the process of he's moving the family and got a new house and enjoying himself. And
well, he's enjoying himself because he's moving in the family, but he's staying behind. No, I'm just kidding.
No, no, he's got some busy family stuff going on right now, but he sends his regards and
no, of course I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, I know.
So. But anyway, back to this because this just goes on and on. Oh my God. Miller held court daily at the Airbnb. They often alluded to possessing supernatural powers, 2 people said, and instructed guests to participate in group meditations led by Youngbear. They spoke at length about fate and the importance of social justice for marginalized groups. Many of the people who became involved with Miller said they believed in the issues Miller cared about, but Miller often took things too far. Two people said Miller's celebrity status and power made them hesitant to go against the actor, in part because Miller's generosity. Miller insisted on paying for friends, food, lodging, and weed. A musician who recorded with Miller in Iceland said the actor handed him 200,000 krona, roughly the equivalent to $1,500 for his birthday. The musician said the more time he spent with Miller, the more he behaved like them and believed their spiritual powers. Nobody ever was kind of allowed to disagree with them, he recalled a young woman who said she had a brief sexual relationship with Miller in Iceland when she was 18. Their reality painted everybody else's reality. There was no room for anybody else's opinion or feelings. Some guests said they felt frightened during Miller's mood swings. A 23-year-old woman who visited the house twice said she witnessed Miller fly into a rage when a group of friends tried to pick which song to play over the sound system. She said Miller swore and screamed at them to leave the house, which the actor referred to as his sanctuary. They snapped from being a friendly host to this really angry person, she said. This also matches the story we heard about the 12-year-old. The 23-year-old said Miller wouldn't allow the offending parties to speak or explain themselves. The woman who visited the house in March said that when she tried to use her phone in Miller's presence, Miller got angry. They would be like, "Hey, I'm talking to you. Why are you on your phone?" she said. That sounded like another interaction I've heard about it. At another point, Miller ushered the woman and her friend into a room and confronted them about wanting to leave the house. "You don't like my hospitality," Miller told them, adding that they could read the pair's minds. The woman said she remembers feeling intimidated and trapped. The woman eventually sneaked a text to a family member asking them to pick her up. She said that leaving the house felt like making an escape. "I was a bit traumatized for a while," she said. "It was one of the weirdest days I've ever experienced." Miller's behavior stayed largely under wraps until April 1st of 2020, when the actor was filmed choking a woman and throwing her to the ground at Prekio Cafeos, a trendy bar in Reykjavik. The violent outburst, I think I might still have that video, maybe not. I think I took it down. I think I retired it, but well, fuck it. I'm not gonna look for it. Anyway, back to the story. The violent outburst came as a surprise to Carlos Rainier, a bartender who formed a friendship with Miller. When Rainier escorted Miller out of the bar, the actor spat in his face. "I thought they were great to begin with. We talked about all kinds of spiritual things and went deep into philosophy," Rainier told Variety. This is just a bunch of the stuff from Variety video, or the Variety article now. So we've already covered a lot of this stuff. But that same month, Miller rented out parts of Northern Ireland's hotel Lagerbaki to record music. Several local musicians were invited to the hotel, including a young woman from Iceland who was 18 at the time. The musicians spent their first day at the hotel reciting pagan chants, smoking weed, and relaxing in the hot tub, they recalled. Later that night, Miller, the young woman, and another woman had a threesome, she said. "Excuse me, my ego was thriving," recalled the young woman, who said she was really lost at the time and addicted to alcohol and drugs. After that, Ezra basically said, "My room is your room. This is now where you're going to stay." And I was like, "Cool." The young woman said she stayed at the hotel for 6 days. What started off as a thrilling experience, she said, deteriorated into one of the most traumatic weeks of her life. She said Miller exhibited mood swings that left her tearful and confused. At one moment, they would look at me in the eye and they'd be like, "I love you," and be this really nice, beautiful person, she said. And the next minute, she continued, they would tell me that I was fucking disgusting. There was a lot of psychological abuse, the young woman said. Once the young woman mixed up the Spanish words for 6 and 7, realizing her mistake, she laughed and leaned on Miller affectionately. She said Miller told her to get the fuck off me and called the air disgusting. Her bandmate who witnessed the interaction said she was shocked by Miller's response. Another time, the young woman said she was stretching in a communal area when Miller approached and asked whether she was practicing yoga. The two began discussing yoga, then Miller started screaming. Ezra was like, "You don't know anything about yoga." She recalled this hostile demon just took over. In both cases, the young woman said Miller made her feel ashamed for being white. Jesus Christ. Oh, Lord. The young woman said that while at the hotel, she had sex with Miller 3 times and communicated sparsely with friends and family. The actor became fixated on her breeding capabilities. she said, and worshipped her perfect womb by talking to it, looking at it, hugging it, and laying their head on her stomach. Miller said. Miller, she seems believed her loved ones were trying to hold her back and encouraged her to leave her life behind for prosperity future, for blah, 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 blah. Ezra was super manipulative. They kind of had all of us under their fingers, she said. They were able to twist and pull everything that I thought I knew about the world. After 6 days, Miller decided to return to Reykjavik. Eager to get home, the young woman accepted a ride from the actor and their entourage. When she returned to her apartment, her roommate, who had heard rumors about Miller and had grown worried when the woman stopped responding to texts, handed her a stack of literature about cults. The documents detailed how cult leaders promise spiritual awakenings or material goods to manipulate targets and how isolate their followers. Basically, just a lot of stuff that anyway. The woman said she was terrified of seeing Miller again, so much that she fled her apartment until Miller left the country 10 days later. Her experience with Miller left lasting scars. It was only 6 days, but it honestly felt way longer. It could have been worse, though. As Miller's behavior became more alarming in Iceland, Takata Iron Eyes was working through her first semester of college. Miller was flitted, I think he means flighted here, has flighted in and out of Takata's life for years. Although that's not sure that's how you spell that. They first met in 2016 when Takata was 12. She and her parents, members of the Lakota Nation in North Dakota and South Dakota, were key figures in the fight against the Dakota Access Pipeline, which was set to be built near the Standing Rock Reservation in North Dakota. The movement attracted progressive celebrities, including Miller, who traveled there with Shailene Woodley, their rumored girlfriend at the time. And this is more about Takata. It's more and more about Takata. More and more about Takata. Let's see here. One incident here, though, during the group's 4-day stay in, looks like, in January 2020, when Takata was 16, she enrolled in Bard College at Simon Rock's less than 2-hour drive from Miller's Vermont farm. She dropped out in December 2021 and asked family friend Chief Bear Cross to let her stay at his home in South Dakota for a few days. When she arrived, the chief was surprised to find that she had brought 4 other people, including a man in his 50s named Whitey Suiters, who was carrying firearms, and Miller. During the group's 4-day stay, Miller unexpectedly drew a gun, ranted about being followed by the FBI, and refused to let Takata out of their sight, said Bear Cross and another member of the household who asked to remain anonymous. Wow. It just keeps going. More and more and more. More and more and more. Like, it just goes on. And then Takata had an overdose, evidently, at some point. Like, I'm seriously going through pages now. Like, I'm skipping through pages.
The article was huge, and that's why when you asked me, it was like, can somebody get me this Business Insider article? And I pulled it up because this is why it's great to have Apple News. This is one of the best parts of my Apple One subscription is I can pull all this shit up. And not everything out there is part of it, but a lot of these paywall news sites I can pull up on Apple News, which is awesome. But I mean, this thing was a novel. It was over 12,000 words.
Yeah, and it gets into the stuff about Hawaii.
Yeah, it's crazy
about the hostel situation.
Yeah, but I do have to run. I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, I'm trying to get. Yeah, this is just so fucking long. I've got
to go pick up Mrs. Renegade. But I thank you for having me.
Looks like we lost half of our staff.
Well, but you know what? Your audience is still here, and the audience is doing awesome. And the audience right now has gotten the likes up to just a nut shy. Oh, no, it's 550 now. Never mind. So here's the thing, audience. This is the challenge. Get it to 600 likes. I think you can do this. I'm confident you can do this. 600 likes. You can make this happen right now. There's still 821 here. This is one of the best audiences I've seen in a long time for Midnight's Edge After Dark, and it is well deserved, no question. The new YouTube algorithms are a goofy thing. Like earlier today, I could not believe, I'm going to do a live show covering Warner Brothers earnings
Yeah.
report. Here's this shit. I set the thing up, StreamYards, an hour before I launched it. I'm still in my office working. I was literally, I set that up 5 seconds before a client walked in the door, had to have a meeting with him. I get home and launch this thing. 1,700 people watching me. Bullshit over the Warner Brothers. I'm like, what is going on? This is the new YouTube metric. So please, everybody out there, get this up to 600. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I love being here. It's a great pleasure. It's a great channel. I wish I could be here every Tuesday and Thursday, but family, dad.
Well, you're also here on Wednesdays to top it off. But yes,
and for 4K for you.
Yes,
Make sure you hang out for that. And it was funny because I had people in my chat, since you bring that up, this is great. I had people in the chat, multiple people bring up, well, what does this mean for physical media for Warner Brothers? I'm not kidding. And I mentioned, I'm like, well, you need to watch us Wednesday night on Midnight's Edge After Dark on 4K for you.
I would have loved to have known if Zaslav said, who the fuck's bright idea was it to shut down our fucking production plants?
Well, I brought that up. I said, Warner Brothers had one of the last internal studio production plants for that. And I said, they hopefully they try to maintain that or reinvigorate it.
Right. Well, for those who may not know, that's kind of how I got into the business, and people who I know in the business, and why I know so much about Warner Brothers is because they did their own video distribution. Yeah. They didn't go through anybody else. You had to deal directly with them. They had regional people and everything. It was great. And they were very good about it, and they did a great job with their shit for years.
And a lot of studios used to do that in-house. Like, I remember back in the days when I was working in the high-end AV retail market, like, I used to design home theaters for people. I used to go in there and design the pre-wire systems. I used to, consort with the electricians and everything else, and we would set all this up. We would build the systems up front, install them, set everything up for people we'd actually put in theater seats and all kind of stuff. And that was the fun kind of thing. And I remember at that point, this was back in the late 90s and early 2000s. Like, I still had, at that moment, I still had really good contacts at Paramount. And we used to get, like, when Paramount would release new stuff, we used to get the first run, like the actual evaluation copies of Paramount Laserdiscs.
Nice.
And I mean, it was to the point, like, in 1999, I guess it was, when Phantom Menace came out, we got comp tickets from Lucasfilm to go evaluate the THX on opening night at one of the big THX theaters in New Orleans. I mean, that was back in the heyday. That's when it was fun. Times have changed. I wish it was still like that, but it's not. Yeah. And But check out 4K for you right here on Midnight's Edge After Dark on Wednesdays. Please, folks. This is when we talk about the stuff. It's, people think like, oh, this isn't as. It's a lot of fun conversations. We talk about the old stuff that everybody loves to watch. And that's what it is. We try to keep the passion where passion should be for these types of old intellectual properties. And that's one of the things that I really enjoyed today's earnings call for, was David Zaslav seems like the kind of guy. I just get this impression. This is just a pure gut feeling. He's the kind of guy you can go sit down with and enjoy your favorite 80s movies with a beer and a pizza, and sit down and just shoot the shit. This is a cool dude that has a good head on his shoulders. I can't promise you that everything that's going to come out of Warner from this point forward is going to be spectacular. But I get the sense that David Zaslav is the kind of guy that we all want, at least is the best kind of guy we could hope for, that's in charge of a studio of this scale right now. So, any case, good to see everybody. Thank you for having me on. Take care, and peace out.
Yeah, thank you for being here, man. And we got the Thursday Throwdown coming up here in a bit, but I want to thank Script so far for sticking in with me too. And check out everybody's channel, including Valiant's and 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser as well. And thank you for sticking around, Script. There's one more piece I want to get into this, and then we're going to wrap this up because this just keeps going on and on and on. And I have a feeling Andre is going to have a video about this. But after in February, a few days after Takada's LSD overdose, Miller visited a small town in Massachusetts. There they met a mother and her child who was 11 at the time, who identifies as non-binary. Now, I think we told this story before as well, but the insider actually talked to this individual too, it sounds like. The mother was friendly with her downstairs neighbor who was in the band Suitors, Miller's traveling companion. On the evening of February 2nd, the group gathered around the table in a neighbor's apartment. The mother, who asked to remain anonymous to protect her child, told Insider the actor showed an inappropriate interest in her 11-year-old. She said Miller complimented the child's style and maturity level and asked whether they were interested in starting a clothing line together. Miller also offered to pay for the child to attend design school. These are not things that we had heard before, I don't believe. Miller then also reportedly said, "I want to invest in your future. I want to make you somebody." The now 12-year-old recalled Miller telling them they added they were really uncomfortable because I am somebody who doesn't like talking to new people, but Miller was pushing and pushing me to talk. They also said Miller asked for their Instagram handle. That evening, Miller erupted at the child's mother several times. She said at one point the mother, who dresses in an alternative goth style, joked that she looked like a vampire. We heard all this stuff too, and the whole drinking blood incident, that all comes up. But yeah, I mean, this is just some disturbing shit. And then they get into the whole farm incident, and it just goes on and on and on. So I think we're going to wrap that portion of it up because there's just way too much for us to continue on going into this forever. But I'll probably just kind of skim to the end here. Because this is where they talk about...
It's painting a pretty big picture that there's some weird stuff going on with...
So yeah, they get into the Flash here in this part. The allegations against Miller come at a tumultuous time for Warner Media, Warner Brothers' parent company, whose leadership has been reshuffled over after the completion of a merger with Discovery nearly 4 months ago. Warner Brothers Discovery new CEO David Zaslav has been tasked with overcoming major hurdles like navigating the company's debt and overhauling its streaming services. Insiders have begun to speculate that Zaslav might pull the plug on the actor's starring role in The Flash, which is said to have a budget of $100 million. Note they didn't say pull the plug on the movie there.
That's right.
See, that's what we've been trying to tell you guys. There's no winning for Warner in this. A studio source told Deadline. This is an inherited problem for Zaslav. That's exactly what we've been saying. Another industry insider said Warner Brothers' best strategy might be to bide its time and see what happens with Miller before the movie schedule is released in June 2023. There are too many unknowns right now. That's another thing we've heard almost verbatim. If you watch our video from this morning, I edited it last night, but yeah, this morning. The insider said, but nobody wants to spend that much on a movie and not have it have a perfect image. Right there is another important word, perfect image. So that's what we've been saying all this time. They have no win-win scenario with releasing this movie with Ezra Miller in it, right? Like that's kind of where they're sitting.
Pretty much,
they need, and I think our speculation might be onto something because I know Culture had mentioned it before, so I want to give him credit for that, for bringing it up to me, because there may be some kind of back end deal with, say, like Michael Keaton or something else that is preventing them from actually ditching this movie. But at that point, that leaves them with one option, and that kind of goes along with what I've been hearing all this time is they're weighing their options. And at that one point, it was like, yeah, we can flashpoint him out or whatever, but now at this point, they can't really release this movie, no matter if he's guilty or not. This kind of a headline right here is the kind of stuff that I've heard makes Zaslav lose his fucking mind.
It also kills the momentum that your movie would potentially have, because now the studio is responsible for asking questions about this actor, such as like, well, how could you not know about these things, and why did you continue to stick with him and cast him? And all Zaslav can do would be like, well, that's the old regime. That's from, Zack Snyder, and then Jeff Johns, and then Toby Emmerich, and then Walter Hamada. Like, that's all he can really do at this point. He might be able to do a strategy like he did in the investors call, saying like, well, we don't think the way that we don't think with regards to casting the way that the previous regimes have done. So that's why we're going to publicly announce that we're severing our relationship with Mr. Miller and hope that he seeks the help that he needs, and just try to distance himself carefully. But again, it goes back to what I said earlier. Part of me strongly suspects that their shelving of Batgirl was a double entendre. It's a twofold system. If they get away with shelving it and it doesn't have a huge blow up or negative impact in the press, they can say, well, you know what? We've got this other movie, which we may believe and think is great, but we can't sell it because there's no way we can escape the stink of Ezra Miller at this point. We already know it worked with Batgirl. We might be able to take the chance and get away with it a lot less damage than if we were to drop this later on in the year or invest anywhere between $100 and $120 million in reshooting it with a brand new actor to play the Flash.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens here, but I think there's been a lot of cryptic things being said here, at least alluding to, yeah, this movie still might be coming, but I don't know if it's going to be the version we thought. But it's an interesting place to be for Zaslav. I don't envy him at all.
No, I don't envy him either.
And on that note, I think that's the best place we can end it here. I'm sure we're going to get way deeper into this tomorrow with Andre. He's going to probably break down more of this article with us and or the sales calls. So do tune in for that. I believe Cameron is joining us tomorrow, kids. So keep that in mind. Cameron Pasha, I believe, will be joining us tomorrow on the morning show. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was what I was told. So he will also have a few things to say about this, I am sure. And hopefully maybe Script will be able to join us in Valiant or Culture and whoever else. So please join us for that. And I believe Artem will be there as well. On that note, again, Script, thank you for sticking around when everybody else checked out on me.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
I appreciate it. But yeah, we're going to head on out here. Check out Script Doctor's channel. I'm going to head on over to the Thursday Night Throwdown eventually here, it looks like.
Oh, cool.
There is the link for that. And I'm sure you're welcome if you want to head on over to that too, Script Doctor. Just let me know. I'm sure I can get you the link. But yeah, head on over. Say hello to everybody. Let them know we sent you. Take care of yourselves and each other. I don't think we had any more super chats that I could see. I scrolled back for quite a ways. I think we were caught up. Let me double check, but I think we're good. But I want to thank everybody for the support today. This has been a hell of a show, hell of a week, actually. Both of these last two shows have been two of our biggest shows in a long time, if not forever. So thank you for that. We appreciate that. Keep coming back. We do these every Tuesday and Thursday, and Script and I are hopefully planning to get back to our A-rated B movies real soon. He's been real busy, and the weekends have been just kind of hectic, so maybe we'll have to find a new schedule to do it on. But otherwise, we do hope to pick that up again real soon, so keep that in mind as well. And of course, Wednesdays, don't forget 4K for you and all that business. But yeah, I'm going to try and do a call-in show between now and the weekend as well. And I do know we're going to be doing something for the members soon too, so stay tuned for all that. And with that, I'm just going to say take care of everybody. Take care, everybody. Karate with infinite patience. You and I are rare people indeed. Script, anything to say?
Thanks for sticking with us through the show tonight, and have a wonderful weekend if we don't see you.
Translated into Ewok, that is.
Chucha.
Well,